Good evening and welcome to the SDG Advocate Showcase Event 2022. My name is Margaret Downey. I am the coordinator of the SDG Advocate Training project, and I will be guiding you through this evening's agenda. The SDG Advocate Training is an 8-month project that offers active citizens in the adult and community education sector an opportunity to deepen their understanding of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and to design and implement action projects within their organisation or community that contribute to achieving these goals. The Advocate Training is part of a wider programme called SAILTA. SAILTA is the Irish word for worldly wise. It is a consortium made up of 5 organisations, Development Perspectives being the lead organisation, AINTUS, Irish Rural Link, Maynooth University and Concern Worldwide. The mission of SAILTA is empowerment for a better world through the adult and community education sector.
Thank you, to Development Perspectives and organisers. I'm truly excited to be here at this SAILTA's SDG Advocate events. This presentation is actually based on a broader paper which is in the process of publication that addresses the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals through integrating planetary citizenship and a value-creating approach to learning for sustainability across modern nation states. In the effort to empower the individual, the goals of sustainable development and global citizenship, especially goal 4 of the SDGs, and education at large, the focus on individual empowerment doesn't quite do the justice to facing, combating the onslaught of neoliberal capitalism on education and other sectors, So how do we expand from individual empowerment, in my case, as an educator, to fostering education for contributive lives, so that learners can lead contributive lives, for the welfare of self and others quite naturally, and also can teaching and learning enable learners to understand how to work collectively?
So now we're going to move on this evening's event a little bit, and we're going to show you a video that was being compiled by Alan Markey. And in the video, it's a compilation video of photography and 6 action projects designed and facilitated by 6 of the advocates from this year.
I'm Cindy Offer. I'm from Owlart in County Wexford, and I work for a charity called Sail Training Ireland. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals align very closely with our ethos. My project was to take on a voyage with 24 people, which was a STEM science voyage, where we looked at marine conservation would have been one, diversity, gender equality, quality education. We'd have also looked at climate change with the weather and the impact on that. Whilst at sea, they undertook various projects. So one, for example, would have been a beach cleanup. We'd go ashore, do a beach cleanup and bring back the samples, and then we would test them for microplastics. The diversity of the programs among the trainees on board has been fascinating, and to think that at the same time each individual person can make a difference. I think that's what's important, and that's what I'd like to get across to the participants that come on our programs, that it doesn't have to be the big organisations. It can be an individual can make a difference.
My name's Conor Haw. I live in Slorgan. I work with Airfield Estate here in Dundrum. The project that I worked on was putting together a workshop based around the UN SDGs here in Airfield. We do a lot of workshops and programs on the environment, on sustainable farming, but none that had focused exclusively on the framework of the SDGs. It's been very well received. I think people are receptive and very open to the idea of learning more about this framework. The highlight of the experience on the SDG Advocate Training for me was when I first got to meet the rest of the group in Sligo. It had been a long time really since I had been able to meet new people, and certainly that amount of new people, and certainly that amount of new people with interests and values so aligned with mine.
My cooking and baking did not provide a good education to the value of food. Spinach, broccoli and sprouts know always to hand. Lush green and nutritious, straight from the land.
My name is Derek Walsh, and I live in Mullingar, County Westmeath, and I work within recovery education, which is the facilitation of recovery from a mental health challenge through means of education. But within the recovery education format, which is an adult education, we value the lived experience of each of our students. Sometimes we're only a listening ear for those who haven't been listened to enough. We can deliver recovery tools in a practical way, and we inspire a message of hope. May I quote a quote attributed mainly to Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has." And I think this in fact captures the spirit of the SDG Training Advocates 2022.
My name is Joyce Mahon and I'm a PhD student in the School of Computer Science in UCD. For my Sustainable Development Goals project, I created a website called openfored.com. Students can, for example, access resources such as libraries and repositories or datasets. This site can also be used as a resource to learn about the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
CPIHD is the special interest group developed under the auspices of the Irish Society of Chartered Physiotherapists, or ISCP. The aim is that CPIHD offers a platform to facilitate ethical leadership in global and local responses to current issues.
My project was to create a very simple and quite visual toolkit to be used by the public participation network in Kildare, which I've been part of on the Secretariat since 2019. The PPN is all about participation and engagement of community groups, and all the PPNs are based around 3 pillars, which is the environmental, social inclusion and community and voluntary.
We're now going to move on to a panel discussion facilitated by Nick, and that's going to give an opportunity to 4 more advocates to discuss the process in which they went through the 8 months.
We're going to discuss a little bit about their action projects and the processes they've gone throughout the SDG Advocate Programme 2022.
My name is Mary and I'm working with Cork Education and Training Board. Teaching and learning aspects of our service are now paying particular attention to environment, climate, just transition, social justice and more, and I was interested to see Dr. Sharma reference some of that in her talk. And these are part of classes and courses at all levels, working towards Green Schools flags and new components of certificate awards. However, there's a sharp division between the education side and the buildings side of the organisation. And it is this buildings side that makes the policy and the practice about purchase and disposal. And it is very difficult for those of us on the teaching side to influence or even meet decision makers. We have to have an agreed policy that joins up all these aspects of our organisation, and my aim is to promote this awareness and continuity of thinking and practice across my ETB.
My name is Colette Ainscough. I live in Clondalkin in Dublin. I want to foster an advanced knowledge of the SDG number 13 climate action by delivering speeches in Dublin, in Ireland and beyond. The Sustainable Development Goal Advocacy Programme that I have been on has helped me to identify some values, 3 of which are: number 1, I am passionate about lifelong learning. Number 2, sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals are really important to me. And number 3, language and the words we use really matter to me. I believe the development education that I received from CELTA will go a long way towards helping me promote climate action.
My name is Robbie Lawler. I am also from Clondalkin in Dublin, so me and Colette are neighbours. I am a HIV activist the last 8 years. I've been living with HIV the last 10 years. I'm a member of European AIDS Treatment Group and co-founder of Access to Medicines Ireland. I'm currently doing a PhD in DCU looking at HIV treatment and Hep C treatment activism in Ukraine. And I'm co-host of the Positive podcast, where we uplift the voices of people living with HIV in Ireland and around the world. My project, what it's doing is we're doing a Access to Medicine speaker tour around universities all over Ireland. And we have 3 speakers, including myself, Mirza Pontillo from Costa Rica, and Dr. Fernando Angali from Kenya. And we'll be using speaking about our experiences in the Access to Medicines movement and our expertise, because we're all doing PhDs in it too. The campaign goal is that there's current pandemic treaty negotiations happening, which Ireland is very much a part of. And although we have goals that I won't go into, at the very heart of it, we want Ireland to say we want equity and human rights at the heart of our pandemic response, not corporate greed, which we have seen time and time again, pandemic after pandemic.
My name is Jacqueline Healy, and I work in the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission, and I work on the public sector equality and human rights duty. So this is like a new legal obligation on public bodies to eliminate discrimination, promote equality of opportunity, and protect the human rights of staff and service users. But it was through this work that public bodies were saying to me, you know, okay, there's this public sector duty, but what about our commitments to the Sustainable Development Goals? So this led me to apply for this advocate training. So really what my project's about is exploring the link between the SDGs and Ireland's responsibility to respect, protect and promote human rights and equality. But it also will look at what is the role of IREC, of national human rights institutions, to monitor implementation and to support the realisation of the SDGs in Ireland. So if Ireland, realise the SDGs, then they're also respecting and protecting and promoting human rights and equality, and really, really leaving no person behind.
A really heartfelt thank you to the panelists and to the work that you're doing, to the dedication and the inspiration that you're affording to all of us through the work that you're doing. And I really do think it's fantastic.
To end on a more sort of hopeful note, there has also been some progress in the attainment of the SDGs. And in this regard, the recent Irish Global Citizenship Education Strategy and the ESD to 2030 report of Ireland's Department of Education, I think, are particularly commendable because of the efforts, of course, of development perspectives and other partners. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
It's difficult really to find words at the end of an event like this, but some did come to mind during the various conversations that were being had. And there's a lovely little quote in the last IPCC report, and it said, "The future we fear is not inevitable." And it's not just about the climate, but I think it's about all of the SDGs and what the SDGs stand for. You know, they stand for equality. They stand for an end to poverty and to hunger. They stand for quality education for all. And the fear that we have that those things won't come to pass is not inevitable. And you could see why, or you could see the truth, I suppose, in those lines here tonight. I loved not only the passion and the energy of the advocates, but in the little four squares when Mary and they're all chatting, how obviously you like each other and how obviously you got on so well together, and you built this lovely little community among yourselves. And it's just really, as I say, inspiring to see that happening. I don't know how many of these SDG Advocate sessions I've been to, but I never fail to leave feeling so hopeful and so inspired. So thank you for a really, really wonderful evening.